What's up, fellas? Welcome to Air Marshal Mondays, episode number 82. It is good to see everybody. What's up, Spencer? I guess Spencer's out at the field. Let's do a quick roll call. Wild Bill, Mr. Mike SSI, Duwan Smith. What is happening? The Thunderbirds already built and flown several times. David McGrath, what's going on? Hey, thanks for becoming a member, good sir. Thank you, I appreciate it. Mr. George Watts, what is up? Wild Bill, in here over and over. Mickey BRC, what's going on, man? Joseph Cannon, what's going on? Hey, welcome to the show. If you haven't been here before, welcome, welcome. We appreciate you stopping by. Pilot Jerry RC, good to see you, man. Greg Rowland, what is up? Shadow Ops, what's happening? D Frost, what's going on? All right. Good to see everybody tonight. Hope everybody had an awesome weekend. Mr. Hunter Yoakum, what's going on? All right. I'll be right back. I forgot something. I can't be doing the show without a hat. Come on now. All right. Hey, Jimmy Chalmers. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Yeah, if you're one of the guys up at the club yesterday, it's good to see you in the show. And it was good to meet you yesterday. Welcome. Welcome to the live show. We do this every Monday, so come and hang out with us. It's a good time. Sunglasses, I should do that. So obviously we have the all-new XFly Sirius here in the studio today. We took this out flying yesterday. Had a little bit of a mishap, but nothing that couldn't be fixed. And we also took out the 80mm F-16 and the 70mm F-16 from Eflite. We got some great flights on all of those. Hamilton Tanger, awesome, man. Good luck with it. Sorry to see the issues that you had with that F-100, but I know you've been fighting with that thing since you got it. All good, George Watts. All good. Tony Spears, what's going on? Good to see you tonight. So, let's talk about some airplanes. So there's been a lot of folks that have been flying the Sirius lately, and I got to tell you, I think everybody that's got one loves it. Kenny, how you doing, man? So I know that right now it's kind of a weird time for the Sirius, right? Because they're not here in the United States yet. And a lot of folks, you know, are waiting until either BitGo or Banana gets one. Obviously, I have BitGo as one of my affiliate partners, and I'm going to promote their link. So if you look down in the description of the live show, you'll find an affiliate link where you can pick up a Sirius, and you can get them right now. So the deal is with BitGo, if you order a Sirius right now, you don't have to wait for them to come in, but you do have to pay half of the shipping cost, right? The shipping cost from China to pick one of these up is about $120, somewhere around there. So BitGo is willing to cut that in half. BitGo will cover half of the shipping costs, and you will get it in roughly 5 to 10 days. And literally, that's all it takes. So they'll put it on an airplane and ship it over here direct from the factory, which is really cool if you want one of these right now. So if you're interested in getting one of these Sirius models, use my link in the description. Head over to BitGo. Use the Sirius link, and you can buy one right now. And it'll get to you, like I said, 5 to 10 days, no joke. All the way from China. It'll get there. And you don't have to wait on the boat. Right now, you know, there's not really a lot of predictions on when shipments are going to arrive. You could be waiting for a couple of months. So for the low cost of $1 a day, assuming that it takes 2 months for the ship to get here, you can pay $1 a day in advance and get your Sirius right now. This is serious, folks. Get your Sirius today. Head over to BitGo, and for $60 shipping, you can get one right now. Yeah, Pilot Jerry, it's no joke, man. We can get these things pretty quick. Dennis, that may be people just flying conservative. You know, I was only able to get one flight on it yesterday because I had, you know, some one-off weird stuff happen with mine that I have fixed. So they are not a systemic issue, but I fixed that problem. I'm going to obviously be taking it out again to fly some more, but my experience with it was I got about 3.5 minutes of flight time. I brought it down and the battery was still sitting at like 3.89. So 3 to 4 minute flight times is about average for any jet. JCB, thank you, sir. Those will be getting kicked back off here shortly. I am filming some other things right now that are, you know, kind of taking priority over the tutorials. Once those are done and edited, we'll get back to doing the tutorials every day. Mickey B, that's right. If you're serious about the Sirius, you need to seriously click that Sirius link to BitGo right now, and you can have one seriously in about a week. Craig Beaven, yes, we can show the struts. Let me find a way to do that. So right now I've got a battery in it. Let me pull the battery out. I'm just using that as weight to hold the nose down. Whoosh. All right. So Craig Beeman was wanting to see the struts on the Sirius. So who would I be to tell the man no when we have the technology to be able to zoom in and take a look at these struts like up close. Crap, let me get it in there. All right, you see that? That is one of the struts right here. They're all trailing link. They're fairly similar to what comes on the Havoc. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar. They're solid aluminum struts. Very nice aluminum trailing link suspension. You know, with it sitting in the air like this and me holding it up with one hand, I can't really compress it. the way I'd like to for you to be able to kind of see that compression. Let me try it. But they work really well. So we've got 2.5, actually 2.25 inch, I think, 2.25 inch wheels. This is one of the main struts, and I'll remaneuver the plane so we can take a look at the front strut. There we go. And this is the front strut, also with a trailing link style suspension. And I'm just trying to get it to compress here for you so you can see what that looks like. Sorry, man, I'm terrible at like holding the thing and trying to show you what it looks like. All right. Hey, the shirt is serious. Almost as serious as the airplane. So yeah, it's got very sturdy landing gear. You know, when I know I've said it before, you know, the pedigree of this plane is obvious. You know, the guys that started the XFly company, both, or at least one of them, came from FMS, and that, you know, is very clear in a lot of the design methodologies and things that they used, you know, regarding like the construction techniques and stuff on this airplane. And when you get your hands on one and you see it in person, those elements are very apparent. So, you know, it's got a lot of FMS styling to it, a lot of FMS elements. Some, in my opinion, are executed better than what FMS is doing. So if you can imagine, you know, you've got some guys at FMS who make some of the better model planes in our industry. They want to do things better. They want to do things differently. So if you consider what XFly's got going on, and you already know like FMS makes great stuff, everything that I've seen come out of XFly so far has been like FMS on steroids. It's FMS plus. So give these guys a chance. I think that what you're going to see come out of the XFly camp, you know, for the remainder of the year is going to be a nice, refreshing change from the things that we've been seeing from, you know, come out of everybody else. They're going with, you know, they've got some safe designs that are coming out that are going to sell well. And they've got some things that haven't been tried before. And I really enjoy that. I think they're taking some chances. They're throwing in some, you know, some design elements that I think are going to be, you know, nice for them. Maybe not things that other folks will be using, but I think they're doing some neat stuff in a market that could use a little extra, not necessarily an extra kick in the pants, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. Anytime that you have more competition out there, you know, because who's out there making jets right now? I mean, we've got FMS, you got Eflite, you know, who uses several different companies to make their planes. I mean, they're all doing great stuff. Most of the stuff from Arrows is coming out of FMS. You've got, you know, your Dynams and your LXs, Taft Hobby, your Flex Innovations, Freewing is obviously doing good things, but I mean, we haven't seen a lot of things from Freewing lately, and I'd love to see that change here shortly. I think that, you know, I hope that Freewing can make a cool impact, you know, with whatever they do in the future, because I love the competition aspect of this hobby. When more people are in the game, and more people start doing it right, it makes it better for everybody across the board, right? XFly is going to force other companies to be more innovative and to step their game up, the same way that FreeWing did 10 years ago. So I love this company. I love what they're doing. I think it's awesome that they've got this Sirius out here and that people are getting their hands on them. And I think that when you guys order a Sirius, when you get your hands on it, you're going to find out that this company is every bit as serious as the name of the plane. This is good stuff. Shadow, it really is. You know, their prices are right in line with what everybody else is using or what everybody else is, you know, kind of pricing their models at. So I think that they're coming out with a quality jet at a great price point, great performance. Everything that I have seen about the jet so far has been very appealing to me. I really like what they're doing. You know, in fact, let's zoom in on one other thing. There's a lot of elements on this plane that I think get talked about, but you don't get to see them. So I want to show some of those things to the guys that are in the audience tonight. And maybe you got to see some of it during the build video. I do have a build video on my channel. So if you take a look at that build video at Jet Jam, you'll get to see some of the things that I'm talking about a little more up close, but let's zoom the camera way in again. Ah! Because I want to show you the battery bay. All right? The battery bay in this plane is cavernous. I mean, you've got a lot of room in there for activities. One of the things that I really like about it too is there's a little shelf here, like a little plywood shelf that they have for you to mount your receiver. A lot of people will build a little shelf and they'll glue it in. This already has that, right? So you got your battery bay or your plate for your battery to go on down here. Then you've got your shelf right here for your receiver to mount to. Directly underneath that shelf is a well-executed multifunction board that I'm not sure if you can see, but you may be able to. I mean, all of the cables come straight out of the receiver and directly underneath it and plug into a multifunction board that has all your wings, your aileron, your elevator, your gear doors, LEDs, you know, rudder, elevator, everything runs into that multifunction board and then out to your receiver. So it's very similar to the blue box that FreeWing has. But, you know, like Mickey B is saying, I mean, you've got a lot of room for activities inside this battery compartment. It's nice and wide. You know, this is about the same size as like a 4,000 pack. I mean, you can see you can get it in there, no problem. I was flying 5,000 yesterday, no problem at all flying 5,000 packs in that big old cavernous battery bay. Zoom out. That'd be cool if I had voice commands, right? Zoom out. David Nixon. Is this the David Nixon that I know? My old pal from the submarine force? Is this U.S. Navy submarine veteran A-ganger extreme David Nixon? Is that who I'm talking to? Golden Gloves, boxer number 1. Man, that's awesome. Yep, so you guys, everybody say hi to David Nixon. David Nixon was an auxiliaryman. He was a mechanic on the last boat that I was on in the Navy the mighty fine USS Topeka, SSN 754. We had a lot of good times on board that ship, and he's one of very few people that understand what that life was like as a submariner. Ain't a lot of us out there, but he is definitely a qualified submariner. So let's all give a nice healthy salute to Mr. David Nixon. Good to see you, man. David Nixon and I haven't talked in years, man. It's awesome to see him pop up in the show. Good dude. All right, so any other questions about the XFly Sirius? Like I'm saying, this is a serious model, and you seriously need to get your hands on one. Go to the link in the description. Cool, man. Hey, there's a lot better people to learn about the airplanes from than me. But I can teach you something about the radios. You know how it is, man. I'm one of them computer geek, wire rate, nerdy guys. But there's some fantastic RC pilots out there. So, if you want to learn about some RC stuff. Were you sending me text messages the other day? Because I was getting messages from somebody out in California. I was like, man, who the heck is this? And how'd they get my phone number? So that would make sense if it was you. You still up in the Bay Area? You still up around San Jose-ish? Nice. Yeah, I had no idea who that was. My phone number's on my Facebook page? Man, I need to recheck my security settings. Oklahoma. Nice. How you feeling about Oklahoma leaving the Big 12 and joining the SEC? What a bunch of idiots. See you, Shadow. Have a nice night, man. BD Tennessee. I'll tell you what, the paint job on this plane looks strange in pictures. The lines on the plane look strange in pictures. It almost looks, I thought myself, like, what a weird looking airplane. I wasn't a big fan of the way the colors are. The colors really didn't bother me, but I didn't like the stars and stuff on it. There was something about the shape of the airplane that I wasn't a real big fan about. And then I got to see one in person. So when I got to get my hands on one at Jet Jam up in Indiana, a month ago or however long it was, I got to see how nice it is. It's not a junk paint job, something that you would expect from a company that does, that does these things. Absolutely. Bobby's Grasshop Sirius video, fantastic. It just dropped minutes before the show went live tonight. So make sure you go check that out. Bobby's Grasshops video is going to be great, I'm sure. But let me tell you, man, the execution of this paint job is what kind of surprised me. It kind of threw me for a loop. For a freshman effort from a manufacturer, we're talking, these guys are brand new to the game. XFly just started making this stuff, right? So, the lines are nice and crisp. There's not a lot of slop. There's not a lot of overspray. I mean, there's a little here and there, but it's to be expected. But for the most part, the lines are nice and crisp. The foam is is extremely smooth. The areas that are painted, where you have paint over the white foam, if the foam was painted instead of being white, you wouldn't be able to tell that this is a foam model. That's how well this is done. The areas that are painted, you can't see the foam cells underneath the paint. You know, obviously, if you smash it and compress it, you do silly stuff like that. You leave it out in too much heat, you start getting that gatoring, you know, that you'll see from styrofoam. You're going to start to get some issues, right? But this thing is so well done. The paint is awesome. The application of the decals, these are water slide decals that are applied very well. There's no wrinkles at all, you know, and it takes some care. You know, somebody had to care about this while they were doing it, to be able to get those water slide decals on there. No wrinkles, no nothing. They did it right. Everything is done very well. But it can't be passed along just from looking at it. I wish there was a way to present the model, you know, to show it to you from an angle that was perhaps a bit more flattering, you know, because the shape of the airframe just doesn't present well on camera. It's so much nicer in person, and I'm sure that, you know, some of you guys that have seen it in person, you can kind of relay what I'm saying, or confirm what I'm saying. It's much better looking when you're sitting right next to it than it is on camera, because it's a weird shape, and I get that. I saw the same thing you're seeing the first time I saw it. But it's a very well done model in person. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very well done. So, old Dave Nixon was asking, how much does a jet like that cost? And the remote, is it an expensive hobby to get into? So, Dave Nixon, let me ask you, man, were you riding motorcycles with Mike at one point? You and Mike Medina? So I'm trying to, you know, kind of relate this to other hobbies that you may have been into in the past. So we're gonna bust out a few different things here to show off to Dave Nixon, who's not an RC guy yet. But we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to get somebody into the hobby tonight, fellas. All right. So to answer your question, is this an expensive hobby to get into? How much does a jet like this cost? I believe this jet is about $380, if I'm not mistaken. Could be closer to 400. But to be completely fair, this is on the higher end of foam models. You know, there are some that reach up into the $600 price tags, but that's about as high as you're going to get. Excuse me. You know, when it comes to foam models, and that's absolutely where I would start if you're going to get into the hobby today. Now, you know, one of the things that I would kind of caution you against is getting something like this when you haven't flown any other kind of airplane. So, yeah, exactly. I remember that. So, You know, so you understand then that you can start cheap, but you're going to end up somewhere much more expensive as you continue on. You know, you may start on a GX6R, you know, but eventually you're going to get that Hayabusa. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, what I'll tell you about these airplanes, they're very much the same, right? So this, I would consider this a high performance foam model. This is something that's going to be, you know, maybe a year or more into your flying experience. There are other planes, you know, say for example, like the E-flite Apprentice, the E-flite Mini Apprentice, the E-flite Aero Scout, that are much better so you can get started in the hobby. There are simulators out there. There's a simulator called Real Flight. You load it up on your PC. It comes with a transmitter, you know, very much like what we've got here. That transmitter and simulator combo costs about $180. For $180, you're getting the simulator, you're getting your transmitter, and you can learn to fly on the simulator. I mean, and for the most part, it's all muscle memory, learning how to control the model, learning, you know, what the switches do. I mean, it's simulated flight. It's never going to be exactly like the real thing. But here's the thing. $180 may seem like a steep price tag for simulator software, but the nice part is you can crash those airplanes as often as you like. You've got about 200 different airplanes and about 50 different flight areas, different places that you can fly in, and you can get the basics down. You can build up that muscle memory. You can learn, you know, generally how to fly an RC airplane by using nothing but the simulator. When you're ready to move on to a real airplane, you know, like if the simulator seems fun and you're ready to move on to a real airplane, I would get something like either one of those three models that I talked about. So either the E-flite Apprentice, the E-flite Mini Apprentice, or the E-flite Aero Scout. Those are three great models, tricycle landing gear, very easy to land, very easy to handle in the air. And, you know, at least to me, like the E-flite Apprentice is the most versatile of all of them because you can keep flying that Apprentice and learn. It carries you further into the hobby, I think, than the other two, than the Mini Apprentice or the Aero Scout. And, you know, the salesman in me says, go to rcairmarshal.com and click the Horizon link. Look for the Apprentice, the Mini Apprentice, or the Aero Scout, and you can find ready-to-fly versions of all of those. The ready-to-fly versions of the Apprentice, the Mini Apprentice, and the Aero Scout. I want to say the Aero Scout is about between 200 and 250 for a ready-to-fly model. The Mini Apprentice is going to be around that same price point, and I want to say that the Apprentice, the larger one, is sitting around the 300 to 350 price point. Thanks, man. The Apprentice is sitting around that 300 to 350 price point, ready to fly. Ready to fly means it comes with the airplane, it comes with the motor, it comes with the charger, it comes with the batteries, it comes with this transmitter right here, the one I'm holding. It comes with everything you need to get the airplane up in the air. Now, this transmitter, it's a DXS transmitter. It's going to do you fine for those airplanes. But it's just like those motorcycles, you know. You buy a motorcycle, and when you've learned how to ride that motorcycle and you've pushed that motorcycle to its limits, when you're ready for your next one, you dump it all and you buy all new stuff, right? Like the only thing that you can still use maybe is your helmet as you go from one bike to the next. Like, all right, I've got my helmet, I've got my boots, I've got my riding gear, but I don't like this bike anymore. I want something more advanced. So you get rid of that bike and you get into the next one. Airplanes are no different. But here's the problem. Airplanes, as you see around me, you don't get rid of them, man. You just collect them. They're like trading cards, right? So right now in this room, on the other side of the camera, right now you see 6 airplanes sitting here in front of me. There's 6 more right there. There's, I've probably got 50 planes in this room on the other side of the camera that you can't see. So we've got a boatload of crap here. We've got a boatload of crap. So, what I'm getting at though is you can start in this hobby for about $300. And it will get you a plane that's going to get you into the hobby, and it's going to do you well. If you're serious about getting into it, give me a call, and I can point you to, it's a place called the Horizon Hobby Flight Coach Program. What we can do is we can find you somewhere in your area or somewhere close to you. We can find an instructor, because you really want an instructor. At least, like if you start with a simulator, you can get the basics down, but having an instructor there to do buddy boxing, having an instructor there that can kind of show you the ropes, teach you the right ways and the wrong ways. There's going to be things that you learn in the simulator that an instructor may not tell you, and there's going to be things that an instructor can teach you that you're not going to be able to learn in the simulator. So you'd spend a couple of hours flying with an instructor until they can get you where you're comfortable taking off, you're comfortable flying a pattern, you're comfortable landing the plane on your own, and then the hobby's yours. So as you progress through the hobby though, what you're going to find is that like this transmitter is not going to be sufficient to get you to your next plane. So you're going to want to invest in something better. You're going to want to get like an NX series transmitter like the one I have here. So either an NX6 or an NX8, NX10 like I've got here. And the price points on those, they vary. So like the NX6, I don't remember what the price point is on it, but I know that like the NX8 is only like $40 more than the NX6. So that's how many channels that it can support, the number that's associated with it. So like the NX6 is a 6-channel radio, but it also has like an additional cheater channel. So you can do most 6-channel airplanes with an NX6. An NX8 has 2 additional channels. NX10, which is what I've got here, has up to 10 channels. And, we can go over the reasons why I think that this is a much better investment than the other ones. But just as an example, the NX10 is going to run you about $500. Are there other radios out there that you can use? Sure. The learning curve is going to be steeper on those. And if I still remember you, if you're still the same guy I remember, and I'm still talking to Dave Nixon, this is all kind of directed towards him. He's a great friend of mine, and I'm excited that he's on the show. So there are radios like this one. This radio is only about $150. It's 16 channels. It's great, but it's very much community supported, and there's a very steep learning curve, in my opinion. There are going to be some folks that would not agree with me. This is the Radiomaster TX16S. It uses OpenTX, $150, gets you a nice piece of hardware with some really good software. But it's not like a set it and forget it, plug and play type of experience. The difference, sorry, my dogs are they're going crazy. So the difference between what you get for $150 there and what you get for $500 here is, with this radio, it's very easy to use. So if you're still the same, good Dave Nixon I remember, you don't want to worry about programming a bunch of crap and doing a bunch of, you just want to get out and fly. You just want to go. That's what this radio is going to offer you if you stay inside that Horizon hobby ecosystem of airplanes. They've got airplanes that are called bind and fly. They've already got receivers in them. You take this radio, and I can use this radio with every bind and fly plane ever made. And when you do the updates, which you can do over Wi-Fi, you just go into your Wi-Fi menu and you tell it to get the latest update. The updates already have the preset files for all of those stupid airplanes in them. So all you got to do is go in here and say, hey, I want to load the settings for the F-16. Boom. So you go to the F-16, you tell it to load the settings, it automatically programs your transmitter for you. You don't have to do nothing. And then you tell it, hey, I'm binding to this type of airplane. Right? So when you press, you just press a little button inside your airplane, you press a little button on your transmitter, and they start talking to each other. It just works. There's not a lot of guessing games. There's not a lot of fumbling around. The ecosystem works. So to me, it's worth it for a lot of folks. Some people hate it. Some people are like, you're paying all this money for all this crap. You're paying money for the support system that goes behind it. You're paying for, all those tech reps, all those programmers, all those people who spent the time and the money to make this an awesome product. They got to eat, man. They got to feed their families. They got kids they got to send to college. Of course you're going to pay money for this. Where this radio is open source. It's kind of crowdfunded. They take donations. It's a completely different kind of environment. This one I can send into Spectrum if anything happens to it, and I can have it back a week later, brand new. So you get what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? So all things to keep in mind, dude. If you can get into the hobby for as little as $250. If you stay in the hobby, and I'll tell you, if you end up liking it, this is one of those hobbies that you can stay in forever. You just stop counting after a while. This radio's $500. That airplane's $500. That airplane was $600. That airplane was $350. That airplane was $370. That airplane was $250. This one was $350. $500, $500, $500, $500, $500, $300. It just adds up, man. You're gonna spend a lot of money, but you're also gonna have a really good time. So, why do we make all the money that we do anyway? I mean, that's how I feel about it. If you've got a comfortable job, your expendable income, unless you're like one of the few people on the planet that just saves every penny you make and you never spend anything, you're going to spend your money on things that make you happy. Now, whether that hobby is recreational drugs or cars, motorcycles, trucks, computers, video games, whatever your hobby is, you're going to spend money on it and you're not even going to know. With this hobby, you're going to spend your money. And there's a lot of companies out there that are glad to take it. And, it's kind of that same type of deal. Like anytime you have extra cash, you're gonna burn it. You're gonna burn that extra cash, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, if you're the right, exactly, man, exactly. So you get what I'm saying. When you find a hobby, when you find something that you can sink your passion into, the expense doesn't feel so bad anymore. You don't even think about it. I mean, you set aside some amount of money that you're going to invest, or not even invest, because these are terrible investments. You set aside some amount of money that you're going to burn on your hobby, and you know it's as expensive as crack. It might be more expensive than crack, but I get a lot more enjoyment out of it, and it's not going to kill me. Sea Mafia, what is up, my good man? So yes, we have a very serious show tonight, featuring the all-new XFly Sirius, which you can receive right now today by clicking on the link in the description. It will take you over to BitGo Hobby. Head over to BitGo Hobby, get yourself a Sirius, and what I'm telling you is a lot more reasonable than you guys think. For $60, you can have this shipped direct from the factory in China to your doorstep here in the United States in about 5 to 10 business days. And I know some of you guys want to wait for the boat. If you want to wait 2 months to get your Sirius, go ahead. That is totally up to you. Or you can go to BitGo Hobby, only BitGo Hobby, right now today. You can buy one. BitGo Hobby will split the shipping cost with you, and BitGo Hobby will send you one right now. It will change your RC life, and you're going to love it. All right, that's if you want a Sirius right now, today. You don't want to wait for the boat. Pay the $60. It's a hard pill to swallow, but you can have one right now. And I'm telling you, you're going to dig it, because it is a cool plane. Yeah, Dana, they have a demo team for like every plane that they have. They also have an F-22 demo team. They have an F-16 demo team. They have a C-17 demo team for a cargo plane. See you, EQ. Hey, EQ, before you leave, if you're still in here, I got your money order, so I will be sending you a little something here shortly. Yeah, Dave, man, I'll send you a message here after the show and let you know what you want to get. You're definitely you're going to want to get the Real Flight Simulator and check it out on the first Monday of every month. So Real Flight has a multiplayer mode, so we could actually jump in and like we could do multiplayer Real Flight, jump in Discord or whatever, and we could be talking to each other, and I can do like virtual flight lessons. That'd be crazy. But yeah, the simulator, it's a lot cheaper to crash the simulator than it is to crash a real plane. Imagine if you crash this thing at roughly $400 a pop every single time you buy another one. Yeah, I mean, you can crash it as many times as you want. You're good. Paul McNeil, what's going on? Yeah, the simulator's awesome. The simulator's a great first step into the hobby. And once you're comfortable in the simulator, you get one of those smaller planes, they'll be, you may find that they're a little bit boring, but I'm telling you, boring is how you want to start. You want to start slow, get into it, learn how to fly, learn how to handle the airplane, and then move up to a progressively faster airplane. If your goal is to get into jets, I can give you some recommendations on kind of the path that you want to take. Like start with this airplane and then use this as your second airplane, use this as your third airplane, etc. And build out basically a course of, like incremental short-term and long-term training goals, so to speak. Like we'll put together, short-term and long-term training plans and build out some testing. It'll be great, man. It'll be just like old times. And then we'll find out that like you failed the test and you'll have to take it again and we'll have to do some remediation and I'll have to put you on the dink list and all kinds of great stuff. It'll be, dude, we'll both go into like PTSD mode. It'll be awesome. People think you can't get PTSD from serving on submarines. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. You start talking to me about short-term training plans and I go straight into convulsions. Right. All right, y'all, hold on for just 1 second. I got to let my silly dog outside. He is freaking out. So let me let him out to empty himself, and I will be right back. And Lyndon, it is great to see you. Hey, I don't know if I told you last week, Lyndon, but we have your charger in hand now, the S2200. So the only thing we're waiting on now is the airplane. As soon as we get the airplane, then we can make all the arrangements, take it down to Miami and get it shipped down to South America for you. But for now, we've got the radio and we've got the battery charger. We're just waiting on that airplane. Anyway, guys, hold on just 1 second. I'm gonna let my dogs out. All right, I guess that dummy changed his mind. Yeah, UMX Turbo Timber is a good time. I'm not sure if it's the best plane to learn how to fly on, but it's definitely one of the best micro planes out there. It's fantastic. That's right, Wreckham Roy. Do we need to see them in person to know they exist? All right. So if anybody had asked some questions before, I may have missed them. Did anybody have any questions on the Sirius from XFly? XFly. Get your hands on one today. XFly. Yeah, that's right. Michael Wright said they do have boxes for all the demo planes. You can build up your own demo team. How'd I crash what? It is clearly still in very good shape. So the nose cone fell off. Not a big deal. But yeah, the rest of the plane is still perfect. So it hasn't really been crashed. It had a landing. Not a great landing, but not a terrible landing either. Yeah, I ain't worried about the nose cone. Yes. Yeah, crashing and having a bit of a rough landing, way different. Actually, that's not true. I mean, every crash is just every landing is just a controlled crash, right? So, I mean, every time you put it up in the air, it crashes. Dude, I am seriously gonna beat my dogs. What an idiot. Yes, GB. You know, I did not have an S2200. I had the S1400. I just got the S2200. It actually shipped out the same day that the S2200 for Linden shipped out. So I now have the S2200 and the S1400. I'm probably going to get, excuse me, man, I feel like a pig tonight. What's new, right? So I'm probably going to get another S2200. I really like that thing. That's a really good charger. Recum, no, there's not publicly available. There is one on an SD card, but for the sake of maintaining the relationships that I have with certain vendors, that video will not be published. Only the most awesome landings make it to the YouTube videos. Come on, man. Y'all know we edit these things. Maybe someday I'll make a compilation video of all of my terrible landings. And I'll just put it all out there, you know, in one big video, like Dave's terrible landing compilation. It'll be just like the compilation videos that you see on, you know, questionable websites that have compilation videos of two consenting adults doing nefarious things. Remember, I'm trying to be more politically correct. So, yes, maybe someday I will make a compilation video of all of my bad landings, because that would be pretty funny. And I've got some good ones. And look, none of my, hey, just plain crazy. What's going on, man? Mr. McCormick, how you doing, buddy? So, yeah, man, I'm digging this. I'm digging the new XFly Sirius. This thing is cool. This is one serious airplane. Flyboy Adventures in RC Planes. What's going on, buddy? This is serious. This is a serious show tonight. George Watts, I think that the opposite is true for me. That I think that occasionally I have good landings and that they're 90% bad with like the 10%, you know, the 10% good. And Nathaniel Pulling, that's what it'll be. It'll be like, dude, so I go out to the field on a day that I'm making video so I can film, and I'll bring like 20 charged batteries with me. I'll put 20 flights on the plane to make one 3-minute video with one good takeoff and one good landing, and pray to God that I get one good one out of the 20 flights that I take that day. There was no crashing, sir. There was no crashing. So listen, to me, if a landing is a little rough, that's not a crash. A crash is a busted airplane, like broken, wings off, fuse crushed, tail in pieces. That to me is a crash. A bad landing is a bad landing. A crash, that's something special. Yeah, this just isn't this isn't the channel to watch crashes. Unless they're awesome. Like if I have like an awesome, if I have an awesome crash, I'll put that one on. But the ones that are like embarrassing, like I can't believe I just did that stupid crap, I don't like showing those. Because I'm trying to show y'all good video of an airplane, you know, the good parts. You don't need to, I'm trying to remove my poor piloting from the equation. What's up, Ray? How you doing, man? Are you just waving and saying hi to people, or do you have like a question? Do you have a question, Ray? You can't have a question about the Sirius, man. I know you had this thing. What's up, Ray? Hey, y'all, don't forget, at 10:15 Eastern Time, our man Ray, Gooniac 33 Fiery Booty, is going to be going live on his channel. So if you didn't know, head over there, hit subscribe, turn the notifications on, so you know when Ray goes live. Because unlike some other people that I watch who claim that I'm going to learn something today, usually every time I watch Ray's show, I really do learn something. He's the fixed wing guy that you go talk to when you're ready to learn something today. Yeah, Lyndon, you know, I think being able to walk away from crashes, that's like a subjective, like if your heart's still beating, I think that's a fair thing to say. But like, you shouldn't really need to walk away from all of them, right? There's some landings that you may have to get taken out on a stretcher because both your legs are broken. But the plane is going to fly again, and so will you. It's just going to take 6 to 8 weeks for your bones in your legs to heal. Nice, Ray, nice. Hey, if you're familiar with the DX9 though, the NX10 should be really easy for you to pick up. It's a slick radio, but it's very similar operational wise to the DX9s. What's up, Airvexed? Yeah, George Watts. I had a couple of incidents. I've had a couple of incidents where, through my own mistakes, have accidentally deleted like all of my models from a transmitter once. And I was just, I was upset because I only had about half of them backed up. So, and that was the same time that I had just gotten the NX10. I had done the update on the IX12 where they did the update that allowed you to go into like dark mode on the IX12, so your screen was like all black and it looked nice. So I had done that update, and then at the like it said something about like if you go to do the dark mode update, you're going to need to reset the airware software, or you're going to need to restart the airware software. And I was like, okay, cool. So I turned dark mode on, and right under there was a button that said reset airware. Because I'm thinking like, well, it just told me that when I switch over to dark mode that I'm going to have to restart airware. I'm thinking that button is the button to restart airware after switching it from the light mode to the dark mode. So I switch it to dark mode and I hit the reset airware button, and I don't even read what the confirmation says. It says, are you sure you want to do this? And it's like, yes or no. And I'm like, yes, of course I want to restart airware. I reset airware back to factory defaults. All models gone. Whoosh. 30, 40 planes gone. That was terrible. Man, I was like, are you kidding me? I just did that. And then I went to go pull them because I would save my models periodically on like Google Drive. Yeah, I went to Google Drive, and it had been a lot longer since I had saved all my model files than I remembered. Pilot Jerry, I am using nice Airvexed. I am using the 3.05 version of airware on the NX10. I don't know, let me turn it on real quick. Yep, 3.05. Barry Campbell, what is up? Did you get a Sirius shirt from Kohl's, Raymond Molina? And now you're going to get a Sirius jet? Because if you are going to get a Sirius jet, you know where to get it, man. In the link to this live show right now. Or if you go back to my build video on the Sirius, click on the link in the description for the Sirius. It will take you over to Big O Hobby. You put it in your cart, and they're going to charge you about $60 shipping, but you're going to get it in 5 to 10 days direct from the manufacturer. So guys, let me tell you one of the things that's So Barry Campbell, they're not going to be at the BitGo warehouse for about 2 months, probably minimum. I mean, that's what we're looking at right now, is about 2 months before the container gets from China to BitGo. So if you want to wait for them to get to BitGo on the container, that's how long you're looking at waiting. But if you want one right now, XFly will mail you one direct from the manufacturer for $60, all the way from China to your doorstep here in the United States in 5 to 10 days. Now, I was going to say, let me tell you one of the things that's cool about buying a model direct from the manufacturer. When I got this, I experienced a sensation that I have never experienced before with a new model. And the only one that I have experienced it with is my F-18. This F-18, the one that I did the splinter camouflage on. Now, what can you guys imagine that I experienced when I opened the box of the Sirius that I also experienced with the F-18? Put on your, your Johnny Sleuth hats. It wasn't still warm. But it was a unique experience that I have not had with a brand new model before. Reckham, that's funny, dude. He's not going to let it go that I busted the tip off the nose of this plane. That's like half my airplanes, dude. They've all got like fixed nose cones. The F-22's got a fixed nose cone. Like almost every jet that I have has had the nose cone ripped in half at one point or another. Pilot Jerry is onto something there. Mr. Sherlock Holmes. So that was one of the things when I painted this. I obviously was able to experience the sensation of fresh paint on a model, that fresh smell of acrylic paint. It has a very unique smell to it. Usually by the time these are packed up in China, put in their shipping boxes, put on a container ship, shipped to the United States, put on a train or a truck, whatever intermodal form of transportation they're going to use to get to their warehouses. Then they sit in their warehouses for a few weeks, and then they get sent to us. We're talking maybe 3 to 4 months after that airplane was built before it ever gets to us. With this plane, it was built, put in a box, put on a plane, sent to my house. When I opened it, it still smelled like fresh paint, which I have never experienced before. That was awesome. I was like, holy crap, this thing is new. Yes. So I could smell the fresh paint on the model, which I thought was cool. If you want to experience what it's like to have a model that is so fresh off the factory floor that you can still smell the fresh paint, go to BitGo Hobby today. Use my link in the description of this video. Click on the Sirius link. Go to BitGo Hobby. and get you a Sirius right meow. It's only going to cost you $60 in shipping and you can have it next week, or you can wait for 60 days and maybe still not be able to get one. So it's a little different. When you buy it straight from the factory, you're going to get that fresh smell of paint. You're going to get fresh Rona. Like if you want Corona straight from the source, this is how you get it. And that's what I needed. I needed like an alpha sample of Corona to make sure that my vaccine worked. So, I mean, as soon as this thing got here, I took a big old whiff to get that sensation of like, oh my gosh, this thing is like fresh off the factory floor and I can still smell the paint. And then I took a big old lick to make sure that all that fresh Corona, I needed to get that fresh Corona in me to make sure that my vaccine worked. So, number one, Moderna, it works because I'm still certified Corona free. I'm absolutely kidding, guys. I know I didn't do that. That's right. Now, so Big O Bobby is letting everybody know that, yeah, once they are in stock here in the United States and BitGo has them, BitGo is going to have free shipping on the Sirius. So I get it. There's going to be some people that are going to want to wait. But if you're one of those folks that you'd rather have it now and you don't mind paying an extra $60 to get it today, you know, it's kind of like when you go to the hobby store, back when shipping used to be a big deal. Like, I'd rather go and pay for it at my local store before everybody did free shipping on everything, right? You could go to the store, you could buy it, and you could have it today. It's kind of that same scenario, right? I'm willing to pay a little bit extra to get something now. And when we're talking the difference between a week and, you know, potentially 2 to 3 months before we ever see them here in the United States, man, these dogs. That's kind of what we're looking at. Yeah, Bobby, that's the truth, man. That is the truth. You know, y'all leave me alone. I'm going to hide this thing so y'all can't see the crack in my nose cone. Y'all have just got to the point of being mean. Come on, man. I repaired it. This is a good repair. Y'all are some mean people. I just busted it clear off. Or I broke just the tip. Look, it was just the tip, guys. It was just the tip. Yep, that's the whole story. All of it. From the beginning up until now, the whole story was just the tip. So, I know there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I'll just wait. But I'm telling you, eventually it's going to set in, you know, like a month from now. It's going to set in that like 2 months is a long time to wait. 2 months is a long time to wait. I mean, think about it. 2 months, maybe 3 months. You just don't know right now with the client. And now this Delta variant of COVID is affecting everything. The shipping ports are getting shut down again. We could be talking 3-4 months down the road before we ever see these things here in the United States. Do you really want to wait potentially 3 to 4 months from now to get your hands on one of these hot airplanes? Or do you want to pay an extra $60 and be like, you know what? Dave's right. I'm just going to pay the $60 and go to Big Go Hobby and order one right now and have it next week. The airplanes are still going, but the shipping ports are not moving. Right? They don't have enough containers in China because they're not getting shipped back. They don't have enough containers. The containers that they do have cost 3 to 4 times as much to get them sent over here to the United States. So, these companies here in the United States aren't getting as many containers as they used to. They're not restocking as often as they used to, which is why you're seeing stocks on, you're seeing stock supplies dwindle all across the board at all of the different hobby shops that we shop at. They're not replenishing parts because, there are no more partial containers. You got to fill that thing to the max. Because now it's going to cost you 20 grand to ship that container over here. Where a year ago, 18 months ago, that same container may have cost you $6,000 to ship. Today it's costing you $25,000 to get that container over here to the United States. So just think about it. For that extra $60, you can have this thing next week. No containers, no BS. There's no unpredictability to it. You get a tracking number. It'll be sitting at your doorstep within a week. Yeah, yay inflation. And that's right, George. You don't know how long it's going to be. Well, yeah, so the issue with making these things here has a lot more to do with the EPA than it does with our ability. Could these be made in the United States? Probably. But I think that a lot of the byproduct that comes from the melting of foam, like the liquefaction of foam in order to pour it into a foam mold, that the byproducts of that make the EPA very upset. So thank the regulators, that there has a lot more to do with like federal regulation than it has to do with ability. So we could make them here. Hey, listen, here's the thing that people need to understand. Why was the price increased by 3 times? Because, Dana, you are proving once again that you never took one class in economics. Not one. Go look up like basic supply and demand curves. Like when I have a constant supply of containers coming in and coming out, demand goes down and you meet that point of equilibrium where demand and supply are about the same. But as supply starts to dwindle and demand goes up, that takes cost and shifts it way out to the right. So now everybody gets absolutely hurt, So yes, go look up a supply and demand curve and then come back and let us know why the price is so high. Simple economics, my man, simple economics. Yeah, make them in the United States would be awesome. And I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I would love to see, a U.S. manufacturer make a lot of the components that we're seeing on these things. I know that while it seems crazy, we actually have a lot of manufacturing processes that we can do here in the United States at very reasonable prices. We can manufacture chips at very reasonable prices here in the United States. We can manufacture circuit boards for very reasonable prices here in the United States, because that's a very automated process. The things where China gets us are processes that require a lot of labor, or processes that require not necessarily require, processes that in the United States have a lot of regulations that prevent us from doing it cost effectively. So, the problem is, you make something like this in America, it's going to cost 3 to 4 times what it costs here. You want this exact same plane made in America? $1,200 to $1,500. You get it from China, $380. If you want, we could probably do something like servos. Well, no, because servos have a lot of labor that go into them. But things that are automated, things like circuit board design, circuit board manufacturing, chip design and chip manufacturing, we can actually do those types of things in the United States at prices that are very competitive with the Chinese and Korean markets. So some of that stuff, it makes sense to send it over here to the United States, but anything that requires like meticulous labor to complete the manufacturing is always going to be cheaper in places like China and Mexico. Why? Because people in the United States are demanding $20 an hour to flip a frickin' hamburger. That's why. The EPA was a problem a year ago. The EPA has been a problem for a long time. Right. And China's not the only company, that doesn't really give a crap about the environment. But they're one of the larger labor markets out there with the least amount of restrictions. So they have a tremendously large number of people. They have a large skill set of skilled laborers that are willing to work for pennies on the dollar of what our skilled laborers are willing to work for. So in China you have machinists that are willing to work for a fraction of the cost of what a U.S. machinist wants, Go find somebody that's willing to run, a big CNC lathe here in the United States that's going to take anything less than 30 or 40 bucks an hour. Talk to Dustin, man. He'll tell you. Machinists in the United States make a ton of money. The guy that sits at these factories making these machined landing gear, you think that guy's making 30, 40 bucks an hour? No way. No way is he making that much money. We demand a higher price because we put more value on our self-worth, and our cost of living is obviously pretty high. Now, I have no idea what the cost of living is like in China, but I know that a lot of the large manufacturers in China, they have dorms. They basically have like dormitories. The people that work on the manufacturing lines, they live there. They live at the company they work for. So that's how, they have like rec rooms and cafeterias, apartments, like these people live there all the time. So they're providing them with a place to live. I can imagine that for a lot of these folks, the facilities that are available at some of these companies are probably better than what they would be able to do if they, were to take a higher paying job and try to live on their own. So they're doing what they can to support their families. And that's why like Chinese New Year is so important, and why these factories shut down for weeks, because these people, they live at the factory. They don't get to go on vacation. They don't get weekends off. They live at the factory. They wake up and they go to work immediately. They're at work when they wake up. Imagine that, right? We don't do that here. So it's a completely different environment. So when Chinese New Year comes around and they shut the plants down for 2 or 3 weeks, that's the only time these people get to go home. It's a completely different environment. So, different mentalities. We treat our, I'm not going to say we treat them better, because I haven't seen any indication in some of the videos that I've watched that these people are necessarily treated badly. Are they treated to the same standard that, workers get treated here in the United States? No. But they're not necessarily treated badly either. It's just a different mentality. It's a different work environment, a different work ethic. And, they're able to bring product to market at much, much lower rates than we do here in the United States. It's just a fact. It's always going to be that way. Right. Barry Campbell, I don't know that it's that extreme. I don't know how much freedom those folks have to just walk out, but look, I don't think it's as bad as we make it out to be. I would assume that if we were to go over there, we're not going to see, we're not going to see a line of guillotines, and nooses hanging up outside the Free Wing factory. You know what I'm saying? Like, I assume that if people want to leave and go home, they can quit. I don't know that for certain, but I don't know I don't know that they have that mentality over there. Like they may not even know that they could quit if they wanted to. I don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. Everything that we're saying right now is out of very blissful ignorance. Exactly. Yeah, Wild Bill. I don't know if it's that extreme. You know, I think that the child labor thing that may have been something that was very prolific in the past, but I don't know that it exists today. Uh, uh, but what do I know? I mean, listen. I think that a lot of these companies, as much as we like to, you know, give them grief and believe that things are terrible, I think that a lot of these companies they're doing things as right as they can given the circumstances that they're in. Is it very different than it is here in the United States? Of course. You know, but I've seen what some of these factories look like, and they're not terrible. You know, and maybe it's because there's a camera on the workers, but they don't seem unhappy. But again, there's a camera on them, you know, so maybe they're trained, maybe they know. Like, oh, you better not say anything bad in front of the camera. Who knows? Maybe it's groomed. You know what? So when you say that the AMA, we pay the AMA a lot of money each year and they do nothing for us, what do you want the AMA to do for you? I and I feel like that's a fair question. Like, what do we expect out of the AMA? I mean, do people think that's a fair question? Is that a fair question? What I hear a lot of people saying the AMA doesn't do anything for us. What do you want them to do? We okay, sweet. I want a barbecue. Yeah, so maybe the AMA spends money on insurance. Maybe they are spending money on advertising. Maybe they are spending money on government lobbying. Maybe they are spending money on freaking legal costs. Imagine. Maybe they are spending money on, you know, travel back and forth between Muncie, Indiana, and Washington, D.C. Maybe they are spending money on things that we don't see as members. Maybe they're spending money, you know, maintaining and keeping the facility in Muncie running. Maybe they're spending money giving grants, $3,000 and $4,000 grants to clubs all over the United States. What do you want the AMA to do? Is it because the AMA doesn't directly impact your RC life that you think they do nothing, or do you really think that they do nothing? The AMA spends thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year keeping this hobby going. Whether we see what they do or not is, again, blissful ignorance. But to think that they do nothing is very short-sighted. That is not true at all. The AMA does a ton for this hobby. A ton for this hobby. Oh, Wild Bill, there's hundreds of thousands of people that don't have an AMA membership. There's no doubt about that. But, to think that the AMA is just sitting quietly in the background, taking our dues and doing nothing with that money, that's crazy. The AMA does so much more than we will ever know. Spencer Keith has jokes. Yeah, listen, without organizations like the AMA and Flight Test, and trust me, Flight Test and the AMA are the only reason that this hobby, that the only thing that we have to do is take this trust test, to be inside the good graces of the FAA. Flight Test and the AMA are the only reason that we only have to pay $5 every 3 years instead of 30, 40, $50 an airplane to register these stupid things. Flight Test and the AMA are the reason that the rules are far more lax that the FAA has put on us than they could have been, because they could have had individual transponders that we have to put in every airplane, where every airplane was transponding a unique code. But instead, because of the legal efforts and the gargantuan amount of work and research and lobbying that the AMA and Flight Test have put forth, the restrictions that we've got on us are a lot less than they could have been. There was no way the FAA was going to let us continue to fly these things with no regulation. That wasn't going to happen. And all I'm here to tell you is that the AMA is the reason that the regulations aren't a heck of a lot more restrictive than they are. So please, don't be one of those guys that thinks that the AMA is just collecting our money. Because they're not. They are doing something good with our dues. Oh, Flight Test did not do their part for free. But AMA is also not running a 2 million member monetized YouTube channel. Flight Test has a lot of resources at their disposal that the AMA does not have. Because Flight Test is running a very profitable company, selling Dollar Tree foam board airplanes for $50. $4 in materials and, half an hour on a laser cutter makes you $50. I mean, that's a pretty awesome profit margin if you ask me. So, yeah, I mean, I get it, dude. Flight Test has also done a lot for this hobby. And while it would appear that they did it for free, they are taking money from their coffers and throwing it at the problem. But they have tons of, well, I'm not going to say tons of money, because they also have mouths to feed and kids to put through college, et cetera, et cetera. They've got rent to pay, whatever. I really doubt that they're in this to get rich. So, everybody, I mean, we've all got our opinions. And without seeing what the bottom line is of these companies and what exactly they are doing, all that we're doing right now is speculation. Yeah, I get it, man. We didn't pay into Flight Test, but somebody certainly did. Dana, yes, I was able to get that airplane flying awesome yesterday. So we took it back to the field yesterday, and it flew fantastic. Yeah, GB, I mean, I get that you didn't pay flight test anything. There's a lot of people that don't pay the AMA, but the AMA is still working for them. You know what I mean? I didn't pay flight test anything, but flight test has sold hundreds of thousands of model kits. I have to assume people didn't have to pay for them, but they did. You know, they bought, this foam kit and that foam kit and this foam kit, the easy build kits and whatnot, instead of having to cut out the plans on their own. I mean, flight test is, I have to assume, a profitable company. Just because we didn't pay for it doesn't mean that someone didn't. It wasn't free for everybody. Yeah, Paul, flight test. Where do you? Yes, the AMA is doing the same thing with Congress. And I mean, to be completely fair, the AMA has had more dealings with Congress over the lifetime of that organization than Flight Test has had in the 10 years that they've been around. I mean, the AMA has been on our side for 60, 70 years. And I'm pretty sure that old Josh Bixler, if we were fortunate enough to be able to get Josh Bixler in here, he would tell you how much more the AMA does than Flight Test is doing. Flight Test is able to aggregate and build that data, of course, but the AMA, come on, man. Like, you're making some pretty silly suggestions right now that the AMA is not doing anything for the hobby. I promise you, you're not correct. Those assumptions are just not right. I mean, what makes you think that the outcome is any different, whether it was just the AMA or the AMA with flight test? How do you feel like the flight test made that big of an impact? Of course they had an impact. But I don't know that they had the impact that you think. Look, I'm telling you, the AMA is doing incredible work behind the scenes. You are just that you're for whatever reason you're choosing to vilify the people that are our heroes. These are people that are out doing heroic work for us, and you're choosing to vilify them for reasons that I can't even imagine. To think that the AMA is somehow against this hobby or not working for us is very short-sighted. I don't understand why you would think that. I mean, I just don't get it. These are our friends. These are people that want our hobby to be successful, not to take our money and stick it in their pockets. I mean, this is a non-profitable organization, nonprofit organization. I mean, of course, there are people that work there that get paychecks, but our membership dues aren't all going to their paychecks. Roy, about 10 to 15 minutes. It's about 6 miles away. Yeah, it's a nonprofit. You know, I mean, they do great things for this hobby. That's just, I don't understand why the negativity towards the AMA. I've never understood it. These people are on our side. They're not the enemy. I mean, there's bigger folks to worry about than the AMA. I promise you, the AMA is on our side. The AMA is working for us. I don't understand what you. I mean, why do they need to have a sustainability and feasibility plan? I think that they have a very sustainable model. You know, if they keep doing great things for the hobby, if they keep advocating for us the way they have been, you know, I think that there's always going to be a sustainable, uh, you know, model there, a sustainable organization. Uh, right, Kenny, I get it. You know, nobody ever said that Josh Bixler was broke. I've, I've never suggested that Josh Bixler was a broke man. But what do you think he does with his money? Well, David Martin Graff, I think it really depends on what you consider a drone. You know, I think that a lot of fixed wing pilots are already AMA members. I think that most folks, very rarely do I talk to people that are interested in quads or people that I meet that say, "Oh, I've got one of those DJI, you know, things." I mean, I've asked this question before because I'm curious. And I ask these people that just have, you know, a DJI Mavic. I ask them like, are you a member of the AMA by chance? And they look at me funny and they go, "What is the AMA?" They don't even know it exists. The AMA, for the most part, is only there to support our clubs, you know, to support the AMA sanctioned clubs out there, you know, places where we can go and enjoy our hobbies safely. You know, they have these rules in place. I mean, yes, there are a lot of AMA members, but there are way more at-large pilots out there that have never even heard of the AMA. How about those Falcons? That, that's a terrible topic too, Mickey. Both of these are terrible topics. Paul, you may not be paying Flight Test, but somebody is. You know, Flight Test has a very successful business model. They've got their own web store. They've got, you know, a very successful YouTube channel. They have a lot of revenue streams with money coming in from a lot of different directions. You know, at no point in time did I ever suggest that Flight Test wasn't making money. You know, they're bringing in a lot more money than the AMA. But what are they using it for? Yet the AMA is using that money 100% to advocate for this hobby. 100% of the money that they bring in is used to advocate for this hobby. Flight Test, a portion of the money they bring in is being used to advocate for this hobby, but they are padding their pockets because they are not a nonprofit organization. This is what I'm saying. You know, Josh Bixler is a businessman. He runs a successful business. Of course, he's padding his pockets with the money that he brings in. He's paying his staff. He's paying, you know, a camera crew. He's paying for a golf course. You know, like comparing Flight Test to the AMA is not the same. That is not the same at all. You know, that's like saying that, you know, that Glock, a gun manufacturer, is advocating more for gun rights than the NRA. You know, we don't even see behind the scenes what the NRA is doing. To say that Flight Test is doing more for the hobby than the AMA is just short-sighted. I mean, that is not true. They may be equaling what the AMA is doing, but they're not doing more for the hobby than the AMA. Flight Test supports the AMA. Flight Test wants you to be AMA members. Why? If Flight Test didn't care, if Flight Test didn't think that the AMA was doing good things, why would they be promoting people to go and become AMA members? Why wouldn't they just come up with their own sanctioning body and be like, who needs the AMA? We're going to have the Flight Test Association. Whatever. It would be a different scenario. Paul, they did a ton for us. The fact that you're going to be able to fly by taking a 20-question test is testament to what the AMA did for us. Lobbying Congress, lobbying the FAA, getting them to understand that recreational RC pilots do not need to have the same credentials as a person that's wanting to fly a commercial drone. They're the reason that you're able to take a trust exam and be able to fly instead of requiring that you have a Part 107. But the AMA did nothing for you. Trust me when I tell you this, man. The AMA is working God's work in the background while we sit back and complain and say that they did nothing. That's crazy talk. They absolutely are working behind the scenes to lessen the impact of what the FAA is imposing on us. Believe me, take it to the bank when I tell you nothing was going to stop the FAA from imposing regulations that were going to affect our hobby. The fact that the regulations that are being imposed on us are so light is what the AMA is doing for you. I don't know what else to tell you from there. The AMA is doing God's work behind the scenes, and I feel bad that you don't agree. I would, because the AMA is a nonprofit organization, I think that they have to provide financial statements if you ask for them. If you are a member of the AMA and you ask for financial statements, I assume that if you go to them and you say, hey, I'd like to see what member dues paid for last year, they provide that for you. And I would encourage you to look at them. Find out what they're doing with our money. They have to tell you. They can't hide it. Either way, I got to go, guys. It is 10:01. The time has flown by. Listen, Paul, I got nothing against you, man. I still love you. You know, we can agree to disagree about the whole AMA thing. And George, I get it. Maybe we could have had a better topic tonight. You know, maybe we should have been talking about the Cleveland Guardians. Oh, man. But before we go, be sure to check Ray's show out here in 15 minutes. Gooniac33, Fire Booty. Check out his YouTube channel. Enjoy his show tonight here in 15 minutes. Also, don't forget, BitGo Hobby has the Sirius from XFly. Brand new company, brand new plane. Awesome in every way. You can get it right now. It will be sitting at your door in about a week. Factory direct from China. That's the only way to get them right now if you want one. It's going to cost you about $60 to get it shipped to you, but that's half the price of what you're going to pay over at RC Castle. BitGo is paying for half of that shipping cost. So if you want an XFly Sirius today, BitGo is the place to go. Check them out in the description. I got to go, guys. It's been great. Everybody have fun. And we will see y'all next week. Next week, by the way, is the first Monday of the month. George Watts, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Oh, my God. His subs did not pay for 100% of the golf course, Kenny. I promise you that golf course costs more than that. Anyway, guys, y'all all have a great night. And I will see you next week. Virtual fly-in time. First Monday of the month. Get out your real flight. Get out your controllers. It's going to be time to fly. Some virtual real flight fly-in next Monday night. Everybody have a great night. We will see y'all next week.